By the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly why you should not buy a house in 2024. Because all I see online is people saying, don't wait to buy real estate. But the problem is none of these quotes account for your personal situation and if it makes sense for you to buy a home right now. I'm also gonna share something that almost no one is talking about that you need to know before you buy a house. So make sure you stay until the end. But first, I need you to hit that subscribe button. If you want to get better at real estate investing, you have to follow this channel. Also, make sure you go to the description of this video. There's a free training on how to invest out of state. So make sure you grab that today. The first reason you shouldn't buy a home is if your mortgage is going to be more than 30% of your take-home pay. And if it's strictly an investment property locally or out of state, the mortgage should be something that you can easily pay in the worst case scenario. Most people on the internet won't even bother telling you that you should be mindful of your household budget when buying a house. Some even say you shouldn't look at your net income. You should only look at your gross income, which I can tell you right now is 100% false. Like I always say, you need to protect yourself in this process. Many will even say, buy whatever you're approved for, which is a big mistake. Let me explain why. If your monthly household income after taxes and deductions is $5,000 per month, then the monthly mortgage you should target is $1,500 per month. Assuming a 20% down payment, you could comfortably afford a home that's around $225,000. Now, for many of you watching, homes where you live are nowhere near as affordable as $225,000. And trust me, I understand your frustration. Where I'm at in California, a regular old home is $1 million, and I don't understand it. A suggestion I have for those who live in expensive areas is to invest out of state. That's exactly what I did because I simply could not afford to buy an investment property where I lived. But before you invest out of state, it's important to have a team. That's why I'm excited to share the sponsor of this video, Nextiva. If you own a business that relies on effective communications through phone calls and text to clients to close deals, Nextiva is confident that they can automate 90% of your interactions and also save you 30% or more on your costs. You can do this with zero tech experience thanks to Nextiva. My team recently used Nextiva to call real estate agents and property managers in different cities for my students to help them build their real estate teams. I was able to get these calls recorded, and the best thing was none of them had my personal number or the number of the person who was making the call, so I didn't have to worry about anybody reaching out to us directly. Nextiva allows you to create new phone numbers, gives you unlimited calling and texting, and an auto attendant that you can run from your phone or from your computer. So whether you're a small business owner whose team needs to make calls daily to clients or a real estate investor who has folks making calls to potential sellers to get deals, you need a reliable system. With Nextiva, you also get an AI-powered dashboard that can show you all of your communications in one place, and also an AI chatbot and AI voice that'll talk to your clients for you. You get all of this inside of one app. There's no need for your team to go through 18 different spreadsheets and platforms to get the job done. Go to trynextiva.com/black real estate or go to the link in the description below to get 50% off of your plan. The next topic we discuss is concerning because many people don't actually take it seriously. You should not be buying a home this year if you can barely afford the down payment. According to the National Association of Realtors, the median down payment for all home buyers was 15% in 2023. Now, of course, on this channel, we've discussed programs like NACA, which requires 0% down, FHA, which requires as low as 3.5% down. And these are great programs. And the reality is you still need additional money when purchasing properties through these programs. So if you're scraping pennies together for the down payment and you literally have no other money, you're setting yourself up for failure, believe me. Not only do you need a down payment, you also need closing costs, which can be up to 3 to 6% of the purchase price of the property. Let's look at an example. If you purchased a home for $500,000 and put 10% down, that is a $50,000 down payment. If your closing costs came up to 3% of the purchase price, that will be another $15,000. In total, you would need $65,000. But let me ask you this, did you know you actually need even more than that? You'll need to furnish the property, and you also may need to get certain appliances as well. You may even buy a property that needs a little bit of work, so you might be making some upgrades in certain parts of the house. All of this can easily run you over 5 figures. If you thought that was all the money you needed when buying a house, there's more. You have no business buying a house if you don't have 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved. I don't care what your favorite guru told you. You need that before you buy anything. Some folks will tell you if you have enough for the down payment, that's all you need, go ahead and buy the house. It doesn't matter what else you have. It doesn't matter what else you don't have. If you don't remember anything from this video, remember this. Never listen to anyone who's pressuring you to buy a house. especially if you know it's not the right time for you. I don't care if it's your parents. I don't care if it's your siblings. I don't care if it's your real estate agent. I don't care if it's your lender. It doesn't matter. Don't do it. Listen, I want you to buy the house and stay in it as long as you want and be comfortable and stress free. This is why the 3 to 6 month emergency fund is crucial. If your household expenses are $3,000, then on the low end, I recommend having at least $9,000 before you buy a house. On the high end, I would save 6 months, which would be $18,000. Now, of course, you can run those numbers for yourself based on what your household expenses are. And what I recommend you doing in addition to that is adding the potential cost of your future mortgage to that savings amount so that when you move into the house, that's already factored in. Look, as we know, the economy is in a very interesting place, and a lot of companies have been laying people off. I would hate for you to buy a house and then potentially lose your job and then lose the house because you had no savings. Many people, unfortunately, have found themselves in that situation over the past several years. So I recommend having savings outside of what's needed to buy the home. You'll be much more comfortable, trust me. Look, I'm an advocate for home ownership. I want everybody watching to have some investment properties, to have a home to live in. That's the purpose of this channel. It just has to be done the right way so you can sustain it and so you can enjoy it over the long term. The next part is something that I rarely hear folks online talking about, and you should not buy a house without knowing what I'm going to talk about next. You may have heard about the concept of house hacking, which is where you buy a single family home, you live in one room and you rent out the other rooms, or when you buy a multi-unit property, 2 to 4 units, you live in one unit and rent the other units out. I always see people online saying that with this strategy, you can live for free or you can reduce your monthly housing expenses. What I never hear anyone saying is that you need to be able to afford the mortgage in the worst case scenario. Let's look at an example. Let's say you have a duplex. If your mortgage is $4,000 a month and the other unit is renting out for $2,000, then on a month-to-month basis, when the tenant pays, you only need to contribute $2,000 to the mortgage. What I never hear people saying online is that you still need to be able to afford that $4,000 if the tenant doesn't pay their portion and if you have a vacancy. To be honest, in some cases, the potential rental income is used to qualify people for the loans, which is dangerous because what could potentially happen is someone can get into a home that they truly can't afford if the tenant doesn't pay. That is a recipe for disaster. I always tell you to protect yourself, and getting a mortgage that you can't afford without a tenant is a bad move. There are landlords and house hackers who have lost their homes because they had a mortgage that they couldn't afford in the worst case scenario. I don't want this to be you. I want you to avoid having that outcome. Whatever the circumstances, make sure that whatever mortgage you get, you can actually afford. You don't necessarily need to buy a home at the max amount that you're approved for. You have to run the numbers and really understand, is the mortgage cost truly affordable? And if it's not, you should look at properties that are cheaper. If you do the things I mentioned in this video, you'll be ahead of the majority of homeowners and you'll sleep peacefully. I want the best for each of you watching. Homeownership is possible. You just need to do it right. So now that you know how to prepare for home ownership, I want you to learn about the 5 homes that you can buy on Amazon for $40,000 or less. Check out this video right here.